And the second panel will be moderated by two moderators, Sergey Nettison of Wharton and Michael Henline of ESCP Europe. Take it over, boys.
All right, thank you, Mary Jo. Thank you everyone for coming today. We are up to exactly 200 participants right now. So welcome everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you are. So I'm Sergey Nettison. I'm one of the co-founders of RRBM, and I'm a Vice Dean at the Wharton School. I'm joined by Michael Heinlein in this session, and we are going to have a second panel discussion now, where we're going to focus on how association leaders can advance topics of responsible research. And in this session, we have three wonderful speakers. We have Amy Hillman, incoming president of the Academy of Management. We have Africa Arena, president of the Strategic Management Society. And then we have Catherine Lemon, who is the chair of the board for the American Marketing Association. So they're going to give us their views on how their associations are promoting ideas of responsible research. And they'll give us more specifically a couple of specific things that they are doing and their associations are doing. So we're going to move right on to Amy Hillman, and each speaker is going to have about 8 minutes and then followed by Q&A. Please post your questions to the speakers in chat as we move along. Please, Amy.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. And thank you so much for being included on this panel, because I think this is critically important that not only our deans, but our associations start to focus more on the responsible research. So I'm here representing the Academy of Management. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the Academy of Management has around 20,000 members globally, and they are made up primarily of scholars. And you'll see that across our panel, the membership will change based on the organization that the panelist is representing. Among those 20,000 at the Academy of Management, we have 26 divisions and interest groups. And those divisions and interest groups span large areas and small, and many of them are applied. So as an example, we have a division and interest group around management consulting. We have a division and interest group that focuses on strategizing activities and practices. So that membership is often self-organized into the level of applicability that you're interested in research on. We also publish 6 journals, and I've seen a lot of the chat already about the emphasis on top journals, but I'll remind you all that the Academy of Management also publishes Academy of Management Perspectives, which is a policy-oriented journal, has a very key mission and focus on influencing practice. And of course, as we saw in the history of our RBM video, the Academy of Management Discoveries, which is more about the actual findings and how they can be applied in research. Something that you may not be as familiar with is a new venture that Academy of Management has put in place, and that is called Insights. Insights is could be very akin to, say, a Knowledge at Wharton or one of those others, in that it is focused on the community of practitioners. And so Insights curates a number of articles across the portfolio from Academy of Management into a theme, and then translates those articles into very easy for a practitioner to read and to take value from. And you can subscribe to Insights based on either a theme or just in general. So you could say, I want to see everything in leadership, or I want to see everything in sustainability, and that's what you would get that was curated for you. That effort is much more recent, but it's already showing a great deal of effectiveness in that the research that is getting picked up by the news, and media is really is quite staggering now. And the Academy of Management has never really done a great job in our history, although we've always wanted to, in getting media participation and picked up. So the research in the news is an early indicator that this is something that we have tried and that is going to work. So this year's Academy of Management conference will be a virtual conference, and I encourage you all to think about attending that conference because the theme of the meeting is bringing the manager back into management. And it reflects a number of different presidential concerns over the years of Academy of Management. It started, I can think to Don Hambrick, who asked in his presidential address and his theme, what if the Academy really mattered? And it implies the need for us to have much more relevant research. And so the theme this year is very much aligned with RRBM's mission. And I encourage you all to consider attending or watching some of the presentations after the fact, which is the beauty of a virtual conference. Finally, what I will share with you is that the Academy of Management Fellows is an elected group of under 1% of the scholars in management. And of course, Ann Sui and Don Siegel, who may be here on this presentation, have been really influential in asking the Academy of Management Fellows to present the RRBM Award at Academy of Management. The Fellows was a very traditional group. I mean, we got together for dinner and that was about it. And we really need to take action as senior scholars in the field to show that RRBM is of critical importance. And so I'm very proud that the Fellows voted amongst themselves that yes, this was a very important thing to do and that we would now be presenting the RRBM Award. So those are a few things that this very large association has been trying to experiment with. And I liked John's comments in the first panel. You have to experiment to see what is going to work. And I feel like we're headed down a good path, but we'll look forward to your questions. So thank you, Sergey.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for those wonderful insights. Once again, I want to encourage all of our participants to ask questions in chat, and we'll have a short Q&A at the end of panel 2. I want to move to our second speaker, who is Africa Arino, President of the Strategic Management Society. Africa, please.
Thank you. Good day to everyone, and thank you for the invitation to be on this panel. I would like to start by telling you about the SMS and to give you a context, and then I will talk about short-term and medium-term actions that we are undertaking at the board level to promote responsible research. The Strategic Management Society was founded back in 1980 to bring together academics, business people, and consultants, and based on the belief that engagement from members across these groups was critical to advancing the field of strategic management. So our mission is to bring together the worlds of reflective practice and thoughtful scholarship. From these beginnings, the academic membership grew enormously, and currently we are 3,000 members, out of which 85% more or less are academics, meaning that the Bs and Cs, as we call them, ABCs, academics, business people, and consultants, the Bs and Cs are underrepresented nowadays. Historically, we've always had plenary sessions with ABCs involved in them. And in the past, we used to have consultant involved in the organization of the annual conference along with an academic. And in the last few years, this has not been constant. It has happened sometimes and but not always. So the board is committed to reinvigorate our mission. And we have a strategy to promote conversations and dialogues among academics, business people, and consultants. So both our DNA and our current strategy are closely aligned with the RRBM initiative. In terms of actions that we are undertaking to promote responsible research, in the short term, we have all of our publications. We have 3 journals. Our publications ask authors to write managerial abstracts so that the research is made, the contents of the research is made understandable to any reader. This year, the annual conference, in addition to having a consultant as one program co-chair, the program co-chairs decided that each theme track could have an academic and a practitioner as track co-chairs. And the purpose of this is to ask the practitioners to develop ABC panels for their tracks as well as for the plenaries. Another action that we have undertaken this year has been the launch of what we call the Strategy Imagination Forum. This is a series of webinars to share cutting-edge thinking on current strategy issues by top ABC strategy thinkers. We look for speakers who can engage with both audiences at a time. And these webinars are open to all SMS members, of course, but also to any business people and consultants as a way to attract them. And the webinars that we've had on average have had about 40% of the audience coming from BIS and CIS. In terms of medium-term actions, these are related to governance at 2 levels. On the one hand, board appointments, and on the other hand, board committees. In terms of board appointments, we have appointed on 2 occasions. Back in 2019, we appointed a senior person from a senior advisor from the business consulting group, the Boston Consulting Group, that's George Stalk. And this year, 2021, we appointed Paul Mang, who is a very interesting person that has an ABC background. He started his career as a tenure track professor, then moved into consulting, and now he's an executive. The purpose of these appointments is to support our ABC strategy, but also to bring the practical perspective into the board so that our discussions are informed by these views. At the level of board committees, as president-elect of the association, last year I introduced the RRBM initiative to the board to encourage a discussion. And at that discussion, someone said, well, if we want to be fully consistent in supporting responsible research, we should think about which of our current practices go against responsible research principles. So taking this comment into account, this year I have asked for that all committees task 1 member to serve as a censor of misaligned practices, to report twice a year to the board. I thought that it's sort of mission impossible to go through a list of practices because you don't have such a list. But as you go on, you may detect practices that are not well aligned, and those should be detected and brought to the board. The second action item that I asked committees is to identify one action in their scope to reinforce some responsible research principle and to report that in our next board meeting. For instance, the awards committee is already working on making a proposal for an responsible research award. That may happen or not, but they are working on that. And one board member volunteered to coordinate across all committees so that they really take these action items into practice. So these are some of the short and medium-term actions that we believe can help advance responsible research. Thank you.
Thank you, Africa. Thank you so much for those wonderful insights. We have lots of questions popping up in chat, so we'll get to them shortly. Meanwhile, I want to invite Catherine Lemon, Chair of the Board of American Marketing Association. Please, Cathy.
Thank you, Sergey. I'm pleased to be here to talk about the American Marketing Association. We chose to have me go last because the AMA is a bit different than the other two organizations in that of our approximately 30,000 members, more than 20,000 are actually business practitioners, whereas maybe we have 5,000 academic members and 5,000 collegiate members. That's just to kind of give you a sense. And so we have these multiple stakeholders. AMA's vision is to be the essential community for marketers. And I wanted to bring up 5 ideas. Sergey, I promised to stay within my 8 minutes. The first is a bit about how the AMA board and the organization is organized to foster responsible research. The second is recognizing and rewarding such research. Third is introducing college students, so kind of the next generation to this paradigm. Disseminating academic research to a business audience, and encouraging responsible research through AMA's journals. So first, how AMA is organized. We have 15 to 18 board members, and half of them are academics and half of them come from the professional practice world. Many from marketing, but some from HR, IT, legal. The executive committee leadership rotates every year. So I'm chair this year, but next year, Karen Alberton, who's a marketing executive, will be chair. And so I think just that changes the way people think about the organization. Within the organization, we have a VP of communities, Matt Weingarten. And Matt, maybe you could just send a hi everyone in the chat because he's here with us at the conference. And please reach out to him for more depth on any of the topics that I mentioned today. Or Matt, feel free to elaborate. His role covers all 3 of the communities: professional, academic scholars, and collegiate members. The AMA, like the other associations, has 4 journals: the Journal of Marketing, the Journal of Marketing Research, the Journal of International Marketing, and the Journal of Public Policy and Marketing. So the second topic is recognizing responsible research. The AMA was an early partner with RRBM. They have the AMA EBSCO Annual Award for Responsible Research in Marketing. And the most recent award went to Len Berry, who's on our call today, and his collaboration with the Mayo Clinic on when patients and their families feel like hostages to healthcare. Then a third way that the AMA is taking actions in this area is introducing collegiate students to responsible research. The AMA has an AMA EBSCO Marketing Scholar Award and Social Impact Scholarships that reward undergraduate research that's responsible, as well as young scholars active in their communities. And AMA case competitions. The AMA recruits academic volunteers to help judge collegiate research and case competitions focused on responsible research. And then similar to what Amy and Africa mentioned, the AMA has created a new program called Insights in the Classroom. And it's designed, much like the Wall Street Journal program, it's designed to help professors share and adopt ideas and findings from articles and actually use them in their classroom through slide sharing. The next one I'd like to talk about is disseminating academic research to a business audience. And the AMA does this in multiple ways. One that I think was just very cool was inviting industry voices into the research conversation in top publications. So JM and the Marketing Science Institute had a special issue called From Marketing Priorities to Research Agendas. And this was 7 different big topics in marketing, and they invited key executives to kind of respond with a commentary piece, people from Adobe, Procter & Gamble, and a senior editor at The Economist. And this was really well received and disseminated in webinars and conferences. Other ways the AMA translates research for non-academic audiences. The AMA has webinars for marketing professionals. One I can highlight is how nudges may reduce socioeconomic disparities. And this is a monthly webinar series that's been very well received for business professionals. And then other ways they highlight research articles with digestible summaries and actionable content. They have scholarly insights for JM and impact at JMR. For example, a recent topic would be the benefits of marketplace literacy in low-income communities, or how to increase organ donor registrations, or how to grow nonprofit revenues. And then finally, the AMA encourages responsible research through special issues and special article collections. And I think this addresses one of the early questions of how top journals can encourage this kind of research. And I want to highlight, if you haven't had a chance to see it, the Journal of Marketing has just published its special issue called Better Marketing for a Better World. It focuses in 4 areas: sustainability initiatives, health and well-being, economic and social empowerment, and pro-social giving. This was a multi-year undertaking. It has scholars from all over the world. And the goal of the editor was to develop articles that showcase how marketing does more than just help businesses grow. And the Journal of Public Policy and Marketing has had several special issues and collections that are housed on the AMA's website. One is focused on race, diversity, and inclusion, another special section on COVID through a marketing and public policy lens, and several others. And then Matt Weingarten is happy to expand on any of these ideas. I just wanted to kind of give you some different perspectives, and recognizing that the AMA comes from things as a slightly different perspective because of our very kind of large stakeholder audience in the practice space, as well as our smaller stakeholders in the collegiate and academic space. Thank you, and I look forward to questions.
All right, thank you, Catherine. So we've had many questions in chat. Now, Michael, floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, there have been like dozens of questions, so I tried to pick one for each of you and then one overarching one if we still have time. So let me start with Amy. One question was, how can the different AOM divisions make a stronger connection to the management consulting division? Is there anything that can be done or that is already done in that respect?
You know, it's a great question. So every member of the Academy of Management can choose communities that they want to be involved in. And so there are people in all of the other 25 divisions and interest groups that are a part of the management consulting. So I think that what we can do is really raise the question more and try to elevate the visibility of those divisions that are very applied. And that's certainly possible by the meeting theme. So this year, as I said, it's a very applied theme. And I think that we can do that through the special issues. Like Kay said, we often will focus a special issue or a special topic forum around RRBM, like research, so that we can create interconnectivity across the communities.
Thank you. Moving over to Africa, and I'm folding in two questions here, one specifically asked to you and one more general one. Question is SMS focusing on journal practices that somehow make sure that whatever is published is consistent with the principles of RRBM? And a more general question that was asked that falls into the same area is, what metrics the societies are using in order to ensure that the articles that are published in journals or accepted in conferences encourage relevant, practical, and impactful research?
Well, the action items that I talked about were introduced very, very recently, like a month ago. So we are still working on that. So I cannot say that we are working specifically on the journal practices, because this will be up to the chair of the publications committee to promote that. But and this is something that, again, we are working on, and definitely this is a very critical item that we need to pay special attention to. Related metrics, well, we have not developed yet metrics, but one idea that has been discussed at the board is to ask both maybe journal submissions as well as conference submissions to connect the topic to a particular SDG goal. Because what's responsible research, we figured, well, even if we have the guiding principles that the RRBM initiative has made public, there can be discussions about that, but it's very easy to connect that to SDG goals. And this may be the way that we will develop metrics. But again, it's very recent, so we don't have yet implemented this.
Thank you. And I'm moving on to Kay, and a question that is, well, it's very challenging, so let me throw it out to you. What can AMA do to influence senior scholars who are on promotion and tenure committees in order to ensure that responsible research is higher valued in these type of decisions?
That's a great question. As a senior scholar who has served on a promotion and tenure committee, you know, at least I kind of see those multiple hats. I think that one of the things that's happening is as the journals themselves, and I'll call out in particular Journal of Marketing Research, and Sachin Gupta, who's the editor, is on the call today, and the Journal of Marketing. I think that the focus that they have on publishing impactful research, and I know we've had a discussion in the chat on impact, is encouraging junior scholars to do research that matters. So I think that one of the ways, and it's not the AMA that's doing it, it's really the journals that are doing it, is encouraging the field to want to do impactful research. And I think the AMA can have an impact by, frankly, its choice of editors, right? You kind of have to look at where an organization can have impact. Topics at top conferences, awards, recognizing impact, not just you know, citations or something else. It's not a very satisfactory answer to that question.
Also a very complex question.
Well, I also think that it's a mix. I think that universities have an opportunity. You know, I go back to what Jonathan said of, you've got to allow people to do research on things that matter to them and that they're passionate about. And so I think it also goes back to choices in hiring, and you know, universities decide who they put on their promotion and tenure committees based on what their goals are and what their vision is. And so I think it's a multifaceted problem.
Thanks. And we have about 3-4 minutes left. So let me ask one general question to all three of you. We all know that what matters is what is published in academic journal, but probably more what is published in media that people actually read, be it press or social media or whatever. So is there something special that your associations could do or planning to do in order to encourage media mentions of research articles in order to increase their impact? Just jump in by unmuting yourself.
Well, we're gonna revise one of the job descriptions for one of the persons that's working more closely, staff people who are working more closely on the publication side, to embrace that, to make sure that we do connect our contents to the media. And so this is going to be the task of one person. And we also have what we called the media innovations editors, who are two academics who work on the one hand on creating special issues, virtual special issues, sorry, and they are also promoting that content through the social media and trying to connect to the media.
If I can add on to that, I might suggest, I think that Jeff Inman is on our Zoom today. And the Journal of Consumer Research has done some great things in that regard. And so, Jeff, I don't know if you have any ideas that you could put in the chat of what JCR has done for media impact. What I will say is, if I put my past journal editor hat on instead of my association hat, and apologies for that, it has to have a hook that the media want. And I think that one of the things that the AMA and the editors of the AMA journals have gotten very good at is recognizing that hook. So for example, there was an award-winning paper that was on encouraging recycling and encouraging consumers to think about recycling. This is not the exact example, but Nespresso capsules into pens, right? And it's this different, it's a consumer behavior approach to encouraging people to recycle more. And that was picked up. My colleague was interviewed all over for those kind of things, but it has to have that hook. And I think that finding that hook is a key. And I also see Len Berry here. He might be able to make some notes. He's done a great job of kind of disseminating his very impactful research to multiple stakeholders who can then help it have an impact.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. I want to thank our fantastic panelists, great set of insights, and thanks everyone for questions. Apologies that we couldn't answer all of them, but on the other hand, I'm proud to say that we are 1 hour, 15 minutes into our conference and we are still on time, which is probably shocking.